And we're off. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Oh my gosh, good to see everybody. Robbie is first. Kyle, good to see you.
Robbie, the energy is intense, real intense. But, tomorrow is 4:15. So it's tax day. This is the day I dread the most out of the entire year. But hey, we just got our taxes done. That's what I was doing. So yes, we did pay taxes, even though it's theft. It's outright theft. We need to repeal the Fed and eliminate the IRS.
I know, as soon as it's safe for us to do so.
Yeah, Christine Love in the house, and there is our lady Jen. Jen, do you feel any shaking over there where you're at? How does the ground feel?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy out west. Oh my gosh, we have so many people coming on. And good to see you, Skydra Deanna, Jason Oz, Dana Green. Hi. Oh, Miss Elantra. Hi, Veldon. Good to see you.
Great to see you guys. What beautiful people, part of this family. Such a blessing to be with you guys. Yeah, it's going to be intense. I didn't look. I'm going to pull up the Schumann because I've been just doing taxes all day long. So it's been one of those things. You're going through every single item that you bought all year. Okay, so it looks a little placid. You can see it was crazy going back just, maybe 36 hours ago. But right now it looks kind of placid. Mm-hmm. I'll take that. Let's take a look over at the sun, solar ham. Oh, very quiet, very flat. And the KP is non-existent. This is weird. When it's this low, like, barely a pulse, sometimes that could be really disconcerting for people too.
Well, silence is always like, especially in a house with a 3-year-old, silence is not a good sign. And these days with Earth the way it's going, I don't know, silence is not a good sign here either.
So there was a CME yesterday, but it's heading away from Earth. It still does affect our consciousness, though. We've always gotten that from the guides. This is definitely a little disconcerting. You're looking at a very small area. It's got 144 quakes right here. This is just south of Silver Springs, southwest of Fallon in Nevada. So where is this? As you can see, there's Reno, there's Carson City. So you're above Walker Lake and Walker River Reservation. This is rocking and rolling. 5.7. I did hear somebody originally saying that this was like around a 6.0 and was downgraded. 5 kilometers. When I see like 5 kilometers, automatically I think that there's, deep underground military base action.
Well, I think that's right around near Hawthorne, which is huge underground military stuff going on down there. I mean, miles and miles, and you can see it. They don't really hide it. Hawthorne's
Here's Hawthorne. So
and that's a little ways further.
I'd
yeah,
say it's about an hour south of Hawthorne.
Yeah. I mean, Hawthorne is huge, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're not expanding or something else going on there. But Silver Springs, pretty shallow. Yeah. I mean that's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. I just think it's interesting because of how big Hawthorne's is like a huge ammunitions place too. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. It's very brutal there. I want to call it brutal.
And I noticed some of the earlier ones were really shallow, 0.4 of a kilometer. Yeah, less than half a kilometer. There was even here on this one's showing it's on the surface. A 2.0. There was a couple others, I think, that showed basically right on the surface. So I was wondering if they're doing any bombing or anything. Maybe they're exploding some munitions. When you look at this area, there's really just nothing there. I was Google Earthing it earlier, and it's kind of nothing, a lot of Nevada is just nothing. It's just rocks, and not much else. But yeah, this is definitely a military area. Well, 85% of Nevada is owned by the federal government. 85% of the state is fed land.
Oh yeah, a big chunk of it, and it's not easy to live there or to buy there. It's very expensive, and if it's not, the mines take up so much gold and silver, and so there's so many precious minerals that are there, and it's really sad because once you fall in love with the desert, you never really go back. I mean, the desert, once you finally see the beauty in it, people who live there really, really love it. They truly love it, and they're completely loyal to it. And it's sad because these other entities treat it like it's just garbage, like it's okay to put all their trash and their windmills and their solar systems out in the flat desert, and it's just not okay. There's so much life there in that desert. Granted, it can be a little creepy and crawly and sting and burn and poisonous, but there's life there, and it does have beauty. It has a lot of beauty.
Well, there's life everywhere. There's consciousness everywhere. So you can see this is a big swarm. Have we ever seen anything like this? Yeah, not right here. I can't remember exactly here. But in other areas, we've seen swarms like this. Feels though that these times are a little different. Something's been building for a very long time. This was really odd. Look at this. This is right by Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. It's a 4.0, 10 kilometers deep. That's pretty rare. I mean, you don't see too many 4.0s in eastern Canada. It's not typical. These are not typical times. And overall, 418 quakes that they're showing in 24 hours is busy. We've seen more, like when you had Kilauea doing its thing and swarming. There was 4 times that. But this is busier than normal, and a few of these are kind of odd. And, there's also a new volcano off the coast, Washington, Oregon coast, Cascadian coast. And there's been some swarming over that way. So if we look at 30 days, you're going to see a ton, because the West Coast, and, this is a real clue as to, I think, 1700, when we had that 9 point something, the Great Cascadian Quake. I think that we're still not settled after that big one. Was it really the island of California smashing into the North American plate? I wonder. I really, really do wonder. So if we just look at the last week, you see all the swarming over here off the coast. Quite a bit of activity up there in the state of Washington as well. And we have a lot of activity trailing all through, all over the West. It feels pretty busy out there.
Yeah, it really is. It's rocking and rolling. That's quite a lot going on. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Max. He says, can we buy these two a nice dinner tomorrow? Thank you. Yes, Mike's going to make me a nice dinner tomorrow. He always makes me a nice dinner. But, I would go out at some point. If we can find a place that's really good, yes, we'll go.
Yeah, somewhere where you trusted the food. That was my favorite thing to do, was to go out to good restaurants and explore. But, man, we haven't eaten out in forever. Well, actually, we did eat out once because we went on that West Coast trip. So, again, swarm over here off the Washington coast, now swarming in Nevada. Yeah, we're getting close. We are getting close to some big events. Now, they've been building up this, mega El Nino that, what's going to happen is we're going to see some massive flooding events, especially towards the second part of summer and into the fall and winter. We'll probably have incredible snowfall because they're really building it up. I mean, all these people are really... they're hyping it so much. It's like they want to put it out there so that when the big weather events come, we'll say, yeah, well, everybody was telling us it's going to be a super El Nino.
Yeah, it's ongoing. It's one of their games.
It is. Meanwhile, Sheboygan Dam nears overtopping. Spring flooding worsens around northern Michigan. Again, different places. State of emergency by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. When's she leaving anyway? She's one of those governors that I'll be very happy to see go by. It was really very, very disconcerting when Michelle over there in New Mexico won re-election. That was when, we said, okay, I guess we're not coming back to New Mexico because we did kind of think that's what we were going to do. But yeah, the lockdown was just so intense there. And cross into Texas, and it was like relatively like normal. So we're watching the disintegration of the U.S. and the entire global system, which we're going to get into. And you have that going on along with all this wild weather, extremes, the mud flood events that we're witnessing. Monster typhoon bears down on U.S.-controlled islands. Yeah, Guam. This 185 mile an hour sustained winds. This is a mega super typhoon. Man, being on a tiny little island with something like that going over would be pretty scary.
Could you imagine? I mean, what would it feel like if you're on that tiny island, but then all of a sudden you hit like the eye, where it's all really quiet? Wouldn't that be probably the most eerie feeling on the planet just for a little while, and then boom, you get hit again? That's scary.
Yeah, Senlaku is the strongest tropical cyclone so far in 2026. 185 mile an hour, peak winds, northern Mariana Islands. 15 to 20 inches of rain for Saipan, 6 to 12 inches for Rota, and again, some pretty intense waves. That would be extra scary being on an island like that. Australia's petrol stations are running dry as the energy crisis just keeps going on, turning existential, getting very, very Mad Max-ish. Oh, man, I hate seeing those signs when you pull up. I'm totally serious about buying some sort of motorcycle or scooter that gets 100 miles per gallon because I think it's kind of going that route, guys. It's kind of going that route. Well, we all know they want us to all drive electric vehicles. They give you your deductions for taxes if you have an electric vehicle,
Oh, yeah, you get a good one, too. You get a pretty decent one. Surprise, surprise. And, I mean, that's where it's headed. I mean, that's where they're nudging us, and if they just create an oil crisis and pretend it's there, they can jack up the prices and then do whatever they want and make people really, really desperate. That's what they do.
Yeah, everything is just rolling right along. Soaring prices, supply fears. The farmers all around the world. It's pretty scary. It's definitely something to make note of. They say that Australia has 38 days worth of petrol left in reserve before it hits critical levels, at which point rationing is going to be needed. For diesel, 31 days. For jet fuel, just 28. So, yeah, rationing's coming. It really is. I don't think we could stop it because I really don't think they're going to have any sort of agreement on peace. And even if they stopped, tomorrow, it still is going to take some time to get things back to normal. Yet at the same time, here in the U.S., most of it is produced here. So why have our prices gone up, over $1 and stayed up? Because really, is there any shortage here? I don't think there is. Meanwhile, EU country suspends defense agreement with Israel. This is Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni criticizing Israel's military campaign in Lebanon. And she announced the suspension of the defense agreement with Israel amid tensions over the war in the Middle East. Italy, whose right-wing government has been seen as one of Israel's closest allies in the EU, has become increasingly critical of the ongoing military campaign in Lebanon, where 2,124 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes since early March. Think about that. Israel has killed that many people, over 2,000, probably much higher, in Lebanon. Again, Lebanon, there is no really official war declaration. it's again because there's Hezbollah. You have these groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, and other times ISIS, ISIL, Al Qaeda, these shadowy groups, that are out there that you really have to question, who are they really? Who are they really? What really is the big point? There's the obvious one, everything that we're told. But then there's also the realization of, things like, the Cuban situation. How about, the plan to literally bomb Miami, have the U.S. bomb Miami so we could go and take over Cuba way back in the 60s. Sinking of Lusitania. We go on and on with all the different things that have been done in order to give a reason for military action, and also in order to win over public support for military campaigns. So, here we go. It just keeps going on. Thank you there, Brother Max.
He says, get a bike. It's, what do you say? Yeah, 40 to 60 miles per gallon. Yeah, I know. They get good mileage.
Yeah, I did have a Honda Shadow, a 750. It was a really good bike. I commuted with it all the time. And I drove about 35 miles each way. There you go. Ron Simpson, thank you so much, Brother Ron. We appreciate you. I hope all is well there. Ron's been with us a long time, too. I loved it. I didn't like going on the highway, but backcountry roads at 50, 55, that is just a beautiful thing on a motorcycle.
I know. Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you, everybody. That's very kind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always been one to go with economical vehicles. If I didn't have a truck, I always had some sort of, tiny little Toyota or tiny little Honda that gets 40 miles per gallon. So Italy, obviously having issues with the country in the Middle East, begins with an I. Spain, is really in the doghouse. And in fact, you could say there's been threats leveled at Spain from that same country. Again, it just seems like there's so much tension everywhere. There's so much... it's just everybody is at everybody's throat. And I'm just going to take a look at a couple of the little other highlights here on RT. Von der Leyen pushes abolition of veto power. Yeah, the globalists are going full forward right now. And now that you had, did you see this one? This is a member of parliament brandishing a flag that has been altered a little bit in Poland. The globalists are moving fast forward right now. They really are. And now that Orban's been kicked out of Hungary, it's looking pretty ugly. It's looking very, very Orwellian. Did you know there was a great white shark spotted lurking in the waters near Mar-a-Lago? Oh, wow. Yeah, they have a wildlife tracking system keeping an eye on it. It's a 10-foot-long, 689-pound female shark. Cayo is its name. It's been around the president's beachfront paradise. Yeah, so, I don't know, looking for an opportunistic meal? Well, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want one around me. Mm-mm.
Susan Donahue, thank you again so much for the support the other night and all these years.
Yes, thank you so much over there on Ko-Fi, Miss Susan D. Thank you.
The storm is arriving. Absolutely. Psychological research finds Trump supporters are not doing well. It's understandable, I mean, just think of all that we've gone through since the initial presidency. The ups and the downs, and as I watch some beautiful deer coming into the front yard now, they always come to feed, but you know what? I don't think did I throw any out yet? I don't think I did. I was too busy. Sorry, guys. I'll put some corn out there later. You think about everything we went through, that whole alphabet thing, that letter that's before R, and you got to believe, et cetera, et cetera. We have been hit with so much psychological abuse. It's going to make your head spin. And whether you're pro or anti T, again, I think everybody is very disappointed, if not, enraged. The reality is it's the entirety of the system, because they're in a system. As I know, everybody, all the regulars understand that they're actors and they have to sell the part. But what if they break off script? What if they do what they're not supposed to do? What if they come straight out? Can you imagine a president saying, something like, well, it's not really my decision. We got to look to the bankers. We have to look to the military-industrial complex. We got to go check in with the Masons and see what the Masons want. It's interesting that Christoph, the Polish psychic, he saw that Trump does report to Masons. He takes orders from Masons. What was interesting was the person in charge, apparently, of that little country in the Middle East, begins with an I. He doesn't really report to the Masons, but he is connected to them. So he's definitely up higher on the totem pole, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's just so much going on there that we can't see, that's behind the scenes, that it's getting teased out, though. Information's starting to come out. The longer things go on, the clearer things become.
Max says, never was on the T train. Lean conservative more, so libertarian. Well, when we were in Nevada, I was starting to go ahead and try to get involved. And that's the direction I would have gone, was libertarian. But then, after meditating, it just kind of hit me that, there's no salvaging this. The entirety of the system has got to go. So, again, some people will vote because they say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain about the results if you don't vote. But what if your votes don't really count? And again, more people are coming to the realization that they haven't been counting lately. Maybe they never did.
I don't feel they ever did. The rules, how they set them up with all the details, and I've learned so much about it. I can't remember anything now, but after I put it all together, I'm like, this is just one big racket. It depends on how much money you have, how much money, every few $100s gets a vote, and that's just the way it is, and you have to buy your way into things. So no, your votes don't count. I mean, it's a nice thought to think that they count. That way you think if you vote really, really if you just vote hard enough, maybe somebody will win. But it's not like that. It's just not like that, and I used to feel that way too. If I just really put enough energy into this vote, well, maybe something good will happen. But no matter who they put in there, the plan is already made.
Yeah, and Susan was saying the president of Iran's head of the Freemasons for that country. And then you had, again, the famous King James version of the Bible. He was the head of the Freemasons in Scotland and England. So, again, it's just, and then when you watch Trump and the Pope supposedly having an argument between them, I just think it's just all there for drama. Robots captured Russian army positions for the first time in history, so says Zelensky. The occupiers surrendered and the operation was carried out without infantry and without losses. So your first taste of robots on the battlefield taking control, and literally taking control militarily, of territory.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, that's just kind of... I think they have to break the ice somewhere. They have to trial and error, and yes, Max, they never counted votes. Fire them all. I agree. Let's just fire them all. I wish we could, but we can sit here and say you're fired, and I wish it would help. But we're setting the intention by coming here the way we do, and I love that. But back to this, they have to start somewhere. They have to start these headlines somewhere where these robots are starting to take over certain areas, because this is going to become the norm.
Well, the vision I had back in the 80s, where I feel like I was looking at close to our time period, if I had to guess, where was I seeing back in the 80s when I first had the visions of drones everywhere, and I didn't even know what a drone was at that time? We're talking like 83 and 84. I think it probably was about 2030, 2035 is what I think I was seeing. I was seeing it after the war, because I think after the war, I think that's what your police is going to be. That's what your military is going to be. There'll still be flesh and blood humans, but most of it is going to be done by robotics. It's going to be done. We're already seeing drones. Drones are like as important as anything on the battlefield now. It's all about drones. And I think you're going to see non-humanoid and humanoid robots. They're using, of course, those little robot dogs all the time. Those are everywhere. Boston Dynamics, I've seen various police departments have them. They also have them in the military. China has them in droves. They have them by the thousands with, fully automatic guns mounted on top of them. This is after World War II, World War III, I should say. After this war, that's when we go to a much higher level of weaponry, technology, and that's when things turn very Star Wars-ish.
Oh, yeah. It's, they're kind of creeping things in there with all their headlines. The way they do it, they just touch on it a little bit, and then, the ice is broken. So now that kind of paves the way for more of the same.
Crypto Geezer, good to see you. That typhoon might be China warning us via the geoengineering. I think there's geoengineering wars, absolutely. And I think the first blow against the U.S. mainland, I think it's going to be an earthquake. I think they're going to trigger earthquake/tsunami. And I think it's going to look natural and confusing. And we won't know whether it was an act of war or an act of nature. But that will be the first blow, and it could likely happen in the next, 6 months. It's possible. But it's also possible it could slow down, because they do that, and a lot of times we think something is just about around the corner, and then it gets put off for a while. So Ghislaine or Ghislaine? Ghislaine? Is it Ghislaine?
Let's call her Ghislaine. We'll name her Ghislaine.
Yeah, the Maxwell lady. Her sister was married to Trudeau back in '89. Did you know that? I mean, again, this is all in the family. Then, of course, Trudeau, Castro, right? I mean, it's just, yeah. He looks like him more. He definitely looks like Castro. But when you think about it too, I think that a lot of these people may be very, very, even back in older times, genetically modified. They do keep it in the family, that is for sure. And, there's rumors now that the new, thank you, Max again, the elites are losing. Yes, we understand the bigger picture. It's going to just take a little while to really shift things. They're pushing forward again. There's reports that the new Hungarian president is somehow related to the Argentinian leader, and also the leader of that little country starts with an I. It's pretty wild, but I don't doubt it. New national law has been introduced to require all operating systems to have mandatory age verification, to require operating system providers to verify the age of any user on an operating system. This federal bill was introduced by Representative Josh Gottheimer, Democrat from New Jersey, co-sponsored by Elise M. Stefanik, Republican from New York. Again, they're just basically bringing this in. I don't believe it's to protect the kids. I think it's just to always have a reason to watch everything we do 24/7, 365, and getting you ready for your social credit score.
No, it's absolutely not to protect the children. I was reading an article, just watch your kids if they play Roblox, because there was a person, I think I have to be careful with this, but he had captured some very bad people that were in Roblox accounts and chatting with other children. And he actually got a cease and assist notice from the police department to stop catching some certain bad guys from, being on Roblox and talking to children. So, it's just really odd when the person catching the bad ones gets the cease and assist order. He had to stop doing that. So, no, it has nothing to do with protecting our children. It's just horrible.
No, well, that's going on right now with the laws in California, too. It's getting way worse in certain spots, and we know which ones they are. Obviously, it's the ones with what we would call the globalist agenda. What's going on here, guys? Strange lights in the sky. What are we really seeing? Again, there's so much communication going on right now. Do you feel anything with these?
It feels like a fleet.
Fleet.
Feels like they're showing their star system.
Oh, giving off like representation of their constellation or something.
Yeah, to me it feels like a fleet, and they're giving a map.
That's really cool. Yeah, we do. I think, again, most of the beings out there, there's nothing to fear. Because, again, a lot of these beings, obviously, they all have technology that's beyond ours. And they could, I'm sure, knock our ships out of the air and, do whatever they want to. But at the same time, I do think that there is protection from other benevolent ones out there. Oh, by the way, this one was seen in Bulgaria and also in Mexico, a year apart. It looks like the same, and it almost looks like a Nazi bell to me. Does it kind of give you that feel? So this, from this angle, it looks a little bit like that. Let me see if I pull one of those up, because if that's the case, these are old. These have been around for almost probably 90 years.
Well, anything with that, metallic type look to it, those all make me very nervous. And there's our ER Karma Doc. I'm glad you could make it. Thanks for coming. They make me nervous. I think they put off some really, really bad vibes that you wouldn't want to be around. Yeah, it does look like a Nazi bell. My gosh, I would be surprised if those things could even lift off the ground, but who knows with the technology back then, who knows?
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of that, this is something they were working on. And, who were they working with? Well, the Greys, again, the fallen Pleiadians, perhaps the tall whites, there's many different beings out there. And when we talk about Greys, too, there's so many different Greys. There's more than one group of Greys. This could be something that was made here
a través de redes sociales fue reportada en la noche del jueves 16.
Yeah, Bulgaria there. It's pretty wild. In the age of disclosure. This is in the UK. Now when we see just like a typical orb type sighting or multiple orbs, it's kind of like yawn, because we're looking for more spectacular. I saw a bunch that I think were faked, so we didn't include those. There is a lot of AI out there, too. There is a lot of fakes out there. Absolutely. This one, though, looks pretty legit, feels pretty legit. I'm not sure where they are. Maybe they're in Eastern Europe?
Let's see.
I'm sorry, Peru.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff going on in Peru lately, I think.
There is, and there always has been. A friend of mine that I used to work with, he's into MMA, and he's an instructor, black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he grew up here, and it was just they all knew that there's beings that live in inner earth, and you'll see their ships coming and going. So, wouldn't necessarily say these are extraterrestrials. They could very well be inner Earth beings too. There's a lot of that, and again, some parts of the world, it's like everybody knows this because since you were a little kid, you've seen the ships coming and going.
Oh yeah, they've been around for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do make sure you're subscribed and thumbs up for the algorithm. Leave a comment if you could. How about this one? There you go. This is a vacation this was in Japan? Yeah, Fukushima. Okay. November 4th, 2010. Yeah, very eerie. And then all of a sudden you see a ship hanging over the ridgeline. Oh, man, that's fun stuff.
So that's a lot of fun because this is back in 2010 where, and this technology looks like it's kind of like the technology Mike and I use. It's very old. It's very old. There's not a lot of trickery going on. It truly is just a hiking trip and people going out and doing their thing. And oh my gosh, what would you guys feel if you saw those huge. They look like but it looks kind of like a caterpillar with a bunch of dots that are connected to it. I wonder what exactly is flying that thing. You gotta wonder.
Yeah, you do have to wonder. It's very curious, and I wonder if they. When was Fukushima disaster? Wasn't that 1 year later, 2011? I thought.
Yeah, I think so.
And then this is one going into Mount Hood, or at least it looks like it's going into Mount Hood. Maybe it's going in back of Mount Hood. But we've seen ourselves stuff that looked like it went into mountains in Nevada.
Yeah, I mean that was really, really wild. And we were driving down the road, and I looked out and I saw one of those fighter jets, and it wasn't very far off of the mainland. It was like just above the sagebrush, and it just struck me so hard that there's no sound because I had been in that. In that desert for so long, and those are loud. They're so loud, and we were just driving along, and it's right there. I mean, and then it flew way far out in front and just vanished into the mountain. It was crazy.
I think it was Amargosa, right? We were in Amargosa.
We were on the road toward Amargosa, Pahrump. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just look over. I look at Cindy. She's in the passenger seat, and I see it, and I say, holy crap. And it's literally at, I would say, 8 to 10 feet off the ground.
It wasn't far above the sagebrush.
And it matched I was doing 80-ish, so maybe it was doing 100. It wasn't, it's like it was just saying hi. I mean, it was like they were saying hi to us. It was just crazy. And then it just seemed to disappear, heading straight into a mountain, and it wasn't there. I don't even know if that was real, actually. I mean, that might have been a hologram that they were testing on us or something, because it was totally soundless. In the 30s, UFO approaches an old airplane. This is way before Roswell. Roswell was 48. Roswell was the same year that Israel was brought back into being, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
There's no connection there, though, So, yeah, again, this type of thing has always been there. We had the Foo Fighters back in World War II that were noted, these little orbs following along and watching what the crazy humans were doing, fighting each other. Pretty wild. And then that's just a cloud. But wait a minute, that cloud looks kind of shiny and it's moving a little weird. What do you make of that? It's like rotating.
I know. I mean, that just kind of is interesting. Just, nonchalantly just hanging out. That's all it's just hanging out.
Yeah, I think this one's making, it's probably a circular, disc shape, and it's just simply making the clouds. And it takes you back to the Bible, right? Oh, 40 years, 40 years wandering in the desert following a cloud and a pillar of fire. So now we know.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's always been ultra-terrestrials, always. Oh, how about these? This is 1964. These were released by the government, our government, U.S. Check that out. And we're talking about Nazi Bell. That doesn't look too far off, right? See again. When you look at some of these designs, pretty similar. There's one. This one is like prototypical. The Habuku, I thought it was called Habuku. Yeah, that's actually, you could buy them off of eBay. There you go. And so when you go back through history, you know, Vimanas, the Hindu texts tell us everything. And there's all different types of beings. There's not just one. There's all different types of beings, all different levels of technology. It's just fascinating stuff, is it not? I mean, it's just wild times we live in. We're getting to see all this come out in the open. This is in Nevada. A person from Battle Mountain, Nevada was scanning the earth and then saw this. Size is enormous. Measures more than 3,900 feet in each side. Appears to be quite old. What is it? We will, next visit to Nevada, we'll go there in person and take some recording.
Yeah, I mean, I think Battle Mountain's a few hours from where we're at. We could run out there.
Well, yeah, we'd have to make our way up, and it would be great to go visit some friends. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Indeed. Now is this a big triangle? Look at the lights, but then the big light there, and that seat is snoring, by the way. Wow.
Being followed by a freaking helicopter.
Oh, okay, so a
Yo. That is a freaking orb. That's an orb being chased by a helicopter. What the?
So an orb being chased by a helicopter.
Oh, imagine that, playing tag, right?
Yeah, that is fun. Absolutely. We are on a fun timeline, guys. How about this one? What the heck is that? So, crashed in Macedon Ranges, Victoria, Australia, while riding a motorcycle in the Macedon Ranges in central Victoria, Australia. 2 men encountered a crashed UFO. Did they? Or what is it? It looks like it's from a movie set.
It does look like a movie set. I mean, that thing's like super cool. I like it.
It looks like it's wood, doesn't it? This looks like it's wood. This looks like it could be an insect egg, but a very big insect. Maybe it's from a movie set.
It might be. I want one. I think it's kind of cool. Or, you know, you could get one of those for your kids. You could get your kids a playhouse, and it could be shaped like an alien ship. I mean, I think that would keep kids busy for days. You know, planes are just outdated. Let's start buying our kids alien ships.
So NASA confirmed asteroid 2025 PN7 is orbiting us as a quasi-moon or a mini-moon, and it's staying until 2083, and then it's going to take off. So we're a 2-moon planet. This has happened before. And, to me, right away, if something's coming and it's going to orbit us for 58 years and then take off, I mean, I got to say, how do they know it's going to leave at that time? And it probably is a ship, and maybe that's how they know its itinerary, that it's going to come and monitor us during a transition period here on Earth and take off later.
Well, somebody has that itinerary. Interesting.
Yeah, somebody has got the itinerary. It's not us. Look at this. Curiosity rover. This is what the night sky is supposed to look like on Mars. If you've been out in Death Valley, you'll see pretty close to this, but this is even wilder and brighter. And this is what Cindy has gotten to. If we were to see the real night sky without all the artificial lights. And also, they do have a holographic overlay. They keep us from seeing the real night sky. There's other planets and other objects out there that should be visible to us, but they're not because they block them out. If we were to see it, I think we would be just, what's that word? Gobsmacked or something like that. We would just be awestruck with the night sky.
Yeah, we would be. It's a different kind of light. It's a different kind of light out there. It's not what we see here. It's not what we've been told. It's just something entirely different that doesn't follow all the rules of the science and physics we've been given today.
No, absolutely not. And when you think as above, so below, as within, so without, every single little light we see is its own